ourvoiceinitiative.org. So our first speaker is Jabari Brisport. He's an actor, activist, democratic socialist, and he's running for city council in Brooklyn on the Green Party ticket. It's my pleasure to introduce Jabari Brisport.
Good afternoon. You know, we stand here in the middle of Wall Street, economic powerhouse of New York City. Down the street, a charging bull represents the veracity of the U.S. market and the strength of the American spirit. And on your way here, half of you were probably asked by tourists where to find that bull to take a picture. And if you weren't asked, the other half of you will be asked where the bull is on your way out. In front of that bull stands a fearless girl statue, hands on her hips, showing that strong women don't back down from a challenge. And aside from the controversy around that fearless girl statue, we should remember that it's a recycled idea. Because 6 years ago, another group released a poster with a ballerina dancing on top of that charging bull. And thus was launched the Occupy Wall Street movement. Which is why I'm here today. Who here would have thought that 6 years after the Occupy movement, our country would see worse income inequality? Who here would think that New York would have the worst inequality in the state? Who here would think that Manhattan would lead the state in income inequality? See, we are not just standing in the economic powerhouse of New York, we are standing in the inequality powerhouse of New York. We are standing in the middle of a sector that pours so much money into elections that 7 years after the passage of Citizens United, we see a citizenship that is more disunited than any time in our nation's history. This is by design. It is not a coincidence that the NRA spends millions of dollars on elections and Republicans do nothing to fight gun violence. It is by design. It is not a coincidence that big oil and gas spend millions of dollars on elections and Republicans deny climate science. It is by design. It is not a coincidence that Big Pharma spends millions on elections and Republicans vote to repeal Obamacare 62 times. 63 if you count their failed attempt earlier this year. But this isn't a partisan issue. Because it's also not coincidence when Big Pharma spends money on the elections of Democrats and 13 Democrats reject Bernie Sanders' bill to import cheap medicine from other countries. Again, this is not a partisan issue. A certain politician, a Democrat, you may have heard of him, wrote about how this happens in his novel, The Audacity of Hope. In it, he says, "Still I know that as a consequence of my fundraising, I became more and more like the wealthy donors I met, in the very particular sense that I spent more and more of my time above the fray, outside the world of immediate hunger, disappointment, fear, irrationality, and frequent hardship of the other 99% of the population." We elected him in 2008 on the promise of change we can believe in, but in 2012, he happily gobbled up cash from his super PAC, Priorities USA. 1 month later, he was extending the Bush-era tax cuts. 1 year later, he was pushing the TPP. No one is immune to this. Not our president, not our Congress, not even our mayor, de Blasio, who campaigned on the complaint that New York City was a tale of two cities. Even he has fallen into the trap of so many New York politicians and caved to the real estate lobby, the most powerful lobby in New York. A lobby that will have you believing our real estate market is out of control when it is in control, the control of their special interests. So long as corporations can dump their money into elections, we will never be free from a politics that favors the 1%. That is why in my own campaign, I'm calling for publicly financed elections. And I pledge to slash my own salary from $148,000 down to $48,000, the median income of Brooklyn. We are the 99%. Thank you.